Welcome back. As summer is coming to a close, so is our final new isekai of this season, Uglymug Epicfighter. I'll be your Kyle today, and please join me as we take a look and see if this anime is as ugly as they would like you to believe. Brought to us by the team at White Fox, this is a studio with quite a reputation as they have handled big titles like ReZero, The Devil is a Part-Timer, and Steins, among a long list of others. So they do have a pedigree of popular critical hit anime to draw from. Will it help this Uglymug though? Let's jump into another world.
Well, I'm still married to your precious little son. Could it be possibly that I remind you of you? I mean, after all, you were sleeping with Mitch when you were still married to Mac, right? Is that what you don't like about me?
When it comes to anime with an overpowered character, as we have here in Shigeru, it is important to try and find some way to make us relate to the character in some way. For that, I would look at the work of the manga creator One, who has done this with both One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100. Both Saitama and Mob are extremely strong characters, but have faults that make them relatable. Saitama can easily take out a threat with ease, but he is more concerned with getting to the grocery store in time for a sale and often ends up late to the action. Mob, while an insane psychic, just wishes to be a regular kid and go to school, date girls, and maybe work out with the Body Improvement Club. Seriously, I love them and their positivity. We all could use people like this in our lives. Sadly, Uglymug doesn't do a good job of relatability or even entertainment. Their answer is just to make Shigeru an already ugly sad sack shut in neat. This is common in anime and manga, and would be like if every cartoon and comic in the West was about comic book guy from The Simpsons.
Without a doubt, the worst episode ever. Rest assured that I was on the internet within minutes, registering my disgust throughout the world.
Shigeru had a bad experience on a train years ago and was accused of SA. Didn't help his case that when thrown off the train, he dropped his 2 large bags of hentai games, another check towards moving to digital, or invest in bags that zip up at the very least. This action results in him losing his salesman job he prided himself on and becoming a shut-in. One day, he reads online about a way to get transported to another world, and though skeptical, tries it anyway as he states he already has nothing to lose. This opens up a skill menu. Oh, menus. It is always menus. Shigeru realizes that if he sets his looks to negative 255, he would get bonus attribute points. He also does this with weaknesses to overpower himself. Those weaknesses include a 1 to 10,000 exchange deficit for money, and if he is touched skin to skin by a woman, he takes massive damage. At that moment, he is then transported to this new world. He awakens in a cabin with 3 others, all of which are isekai as well. They are Seiji, the hero and de facto leader of this new group, Riza, a mysterious hunter girl, and finally Seka, a 17-year-old girl that starts off as an archer, though is horrible at it. Shigeru also has a new face, one at that negative stat he placed. Though if I'm being honest here, I think it looks better than his real one, and that seems like a bit of an upgrade for him. I mean, it isn't great, but better than when we first see him, so that means his real stat would be... Though cold to him at first, Seika starts to warm up to Shigeru after a fight in which he helps her by creating more arrows for her to use. She even buys him a hamburger as a thank you, as he doesn't have any money due to that exchange rate issue he created for himself. We see this as when he touches a 500 yen piece, it rounds down to nothing. As the group settle into the new world, they are offered help by a person claiming to have been isekai'd and now assist newbies to the caves nearby. Though helpful initially, he betrays them with sleeping potions to try and rob them, and force them into slavery with his crew. Though due to his massive stats, it doesn't work on Shigeru, and before he is ready to stop them, Seiji also shows that he is still awake. Turns out he put in his stats to have a mode to help his friends when in danger, and goes to this angel mode. Together the two save the day and get a big payday for their work, though Shigeru declines for the obvious reasons. And that was really all that happened in the first 3 episodes. So far, it has been very boring in its execution, and the action is really not much more than Shigeru going Disney gummy bear mode and bouncing around as to not hurt people. Well, at least not too bad. The biggest problem this anime has is it needs to either lean further into the crazy premise and be more comedic, or have something to say about a person who is dealing with traumas trying to rebuild a new life. This does nothing though. We get moments of character development with Seiji and Saika, and a very out of left field story from Seiji about how he had met Shigeru in the real world and wants to pay him back because he bought a copier from him maybe?
込みの営業さんが来たんです。仮に Y 氏としましょうか。Y 氏はやたらに高いコピー機を売りつけてきてね。俺だ。
It is an odd moment indeed, though Shigeru claims to be a different Shigeru for reasons. The old withhold information to the group, which usually ends up biting the character in the ass later at a most inopportune moment. Unfortunately, after these 3 episodes, this is another one I would have to put in the boring category. It isn't very entertaining and runs on really the single gimmick that he is ugly and powerful. As a character, Shigeru just isn't interesting enough to be the driver of this story, and I feel like they know that, as most of the storytelling falls to the others in the group. Shigeru is a passive character in his own story. He has no needs, wanting at the moment, or if he does, he hasn't made it well known. He feels more put off on the whole situation, and instead of trying to use this as a fresh start, much like the others are doing, it feels like he'd much rather be back in his neat apartment. It is hard to connect with a character like this, which also leads me to think that this can only be an isekai, and not because of any good reasons, but because so far in these episodes, the world isn't that well laid out. We get a comment of a level 80 in the world, but we haven't really learned much about it. Is it a fantasy world but happens to have pretty normal fast food joint? A video game world due to the menu usage? The only reason it needs to be an isekai is due to the connection Shigeru has with Seiji, which isn't a very strong reason. By the 3rd episode, I should have more of an understanding of the characters and the world. The main character should have a driving desire, even if that changes over the course of the series. We need someone that doesn't seem bored by his situation. Something as simple as, I want to go back to the real world, or I want to figure out what is happening would be a welcome addition to Uglymug Epicfighter, which the last part we really have yet to experience as well. Bouncing around doesn't scream epic fighter. He's just a guy that found a way to cheat a system, and unlike Captain Kirk in the Kobayashi Maru, it just happens.
I reprogrammed the simulation so it was possible to rescue the ship.
What?
He cheated.
It doesn't really inform us about the character of Shigeru. While not an isekai, you can take a look at Mashal, as it also has an overpowered character as the protagonist. Mash lives in a world of discrimination to non-magic users, which he is, but he has honed his physical abilities to make up for it. His drive is to use his power to make the lives of people like him better. It is a ridiculous, crazy, and stupid anime, but also fun. And they do a good job of setting up the rules and world right away so that we can get to the story and the humor inherent to the premise. Uglymug Epicfighter could also be that, but I'm not sure exactly what it wants to be. By leaning into the humor side or a desire to be more serious, it would help it find an identity, but instead it fence sits and doesn't do much of anything. When the viewer starts to question why we are following this character, you have a problem. Overall, it feels like White Fox had a hole in their schedule and made something fit, then give us a worthwhile story. Because we're closing out these summer isekais, I want to give a quick ranking to them. So for the summer 2025 new isekais, I would have to go with Onmyo Kaiten Rebirth Verse as my number 1. It was fun and really did a good job to get us into the world in 3 episodes. Apocalypse Bringer Mynoghra, which I'm still surprised by, would be next. The animation was non-existent, but they still were able to tell a compelling story. Finally, after mulling this over, in 3rd would be The Water Magician, and sadly putting this Uglymug Epicfighter in last. Even though The Water Magician was also boring, it just eked it out, and had a little more story, and the animation was better. While not a well-defined character either, Ryo had more clear motivations and a reason to do what he was doing. This one does not. I would avoid this unless you are some isekai sicko and need your next fix, and all other venues have been exhausted. And even then, I would suggest a rewatch of something else. Summer 2025 has had a lot to like, even some good surprises, though we aren't quite done with it yet. Even though we have now covered all the new isekais, there's still a remaining returning one. So get your loose change ready, as we'll be checking out Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon, which is in its second season. This is one I am excited to check out. Ever since I first heard about this stupid premise, I've been waiting to see. I even used a clip back in my first episode, so it has been on my radar for a while now. Until then though, please give the video a like and think about subscribing. I'm trying to hit 50 subscribers at the moment, and that would be a big milestone for the channel. Also, stay safe out there and be sure to check both ways before crossing the street.